Call this meeting to order. Austin and Coghlan. That the regular meeting of the Council of the Township of Springwater of August 2nd, 2017 come to order at 6:30 p.m. All those in favor? Carried. And now I'd ask everyone to stand if you're able while we sing the national anthem and remain standing.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Please remain standing for a private reflection or prayer. Please be seated. And I turn to council. Has anyone got a disclosure of pecuniary interest in any of the items on the agenda this evening? Okay, seeing none, we will carry on. We don't have any deputations tonight. Previous minutes, can I have a mover and a seconder to get this on the table? Coghlan? McConkey? That the minutes of the council items 6.2 through to 6.5 be approved as presented. Does anybody want to pull any of these for discussion or comment? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor? Carried. And now we'll move on minutes and boards of committees. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Coghlan and Hannah. That the minutes of boards, committees, and other organizations, items 6.6 through to 6.9 be received as information. Does anybody want to discuss any of these? Councillor Austin? 610, that is. Okay, now we have to change the resolution to 610. Now, is there a question you'd like to ask, or do we want to pull it? Okay. Microphone, please.
610 is the minutes of the Severn Sound Environmental Association, Joint Municipal Services Board. And I was hoping that Councillor Ritchie might be able to elaborate on it. Because in one of the items, they were talking about a potential merger between the Severn Sound Environmental Association and the Severn Sound Sustainability. So there's SSS and SSEA. And I know SSEA is an environmental one and has to do with water quality and how it affects the environment, but Severn Sound Sustainability has a much broader thing. It brings in housing and economic development, stuff like that. And just, can you explain why the two are trying to merge?
No, I can't, and I would suggest you might have to talk to Julie Cayley, who's in charge of the Severn Sound.
Which Severn Sound Environmental Association?
That's
or
right.
Severn Sound Sustainability. Okay, so
Yeah.
contact her about that, eh?
Please.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments on the minutes? Okay, and I changed the resolution to include 6.10, be received as information. All those in favor? Carried. Now we go to question period, where I invite anyone in the audience to come forward, preferably questions on the agenda, but we'll entertain other questions. If we can answer them, we will. And if not, we will get back to you. So I invite anybody to come forward that may have a question. Come forward.
I'm not sure if it's been covered or not yet, but
Sit down and
Sure.
pose your question. Need your name and address first.
sure. James Rogers, 1932 Applewood Ave in Innisfil, Ontario. Just the section there, I'm not sure if you've got to it or not, the Bertram Industrial.
No, we haven't.
You haven't? Okay.
No.
I'll just go
But
take
there's no questions. We're receiving a report. This is not a public meeting for the application, but we will be discussing it. That's all I can tell you.
But no questions further?
No,
from
do you have a question that we may keep in mind when we get to that part of the report?
that? No. I'll just listen.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Anyone else like to come forward with a question? Okay, seeing none, we will move on with correspondence. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Coughlin, Hannah? The correspondence information items 8.2 through to 8.4 be received as information. Any of these you'd like to comment on? Councillor Austin?
8.2,
Okay, anything else? Maybe we'll pose the question and see if we have to pull it as a separate item. Question, please?
just an explanation of what this letter is all about, and the question is directed through you, Mayor French, to Director Spagnol.
Director Spagnol, please.
Thank you, Mayor French. Through you to Councillor Austin. The item covered under 8.2 is an acknowledgement by the Ontario Municipal Board that an appeal has been filed by Carson Road Development. This appeal is with respect to lands located on Snow Valley Road and Wilson Drive, which back when the official plan, or when the Midhurst secondary plan was approved, were left as a non-decision by the County of Simcoe to allow for discussion of potentially additional commercial uses on that property. What has happened is the owner of that property, being Carson Road Development, has filed an appeal with the Ontario Municipal Board for lack of decision. And the basis for this letter is to acknowledge that appeal and to identify that the caseworker will be looking at the nature of the appeal to identify any issues and timelines associated with any potential hearings.
Follow up?
Through you, Mayor French, to Director Spagnol, lack of decision on whose part?
Director Spagnol?
Thank you, Mayor French. Through you to Councillor Austin. It's the lack of decision of the County of Simcoe to decide to finally approve the lands as part of the Midhurst secondary plan for the original designation proposed employment uses, and that decision was held up to allow for additional conversations and discussions regarding any proposals to do something different.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. Now we'll move on to action reports. And the first one up is PGC Investments Bertram Expansion Official Plan Amendment. And maybe we'll go to, first of all, I could get it on the floor here. So can I have a mover and a seconder so we can have some discussion on this? McConkey and Coughlin. And I'll just read what the resolution will be. that the report from the planner regarding applications OP-2015-002, SU-2015-002, and ZB-2015-017 for PGC Investments, Inc., Bertram Industrial Expansion dated August 2nd, 2017 be received, and that a bylaw to adopt the official plan amendment be forwarded to council for approval. Before I go to Director Spey, I just want to mention to the person that came forward, we did have a public meeting on this, and that's where we gather all the comments on that. And Director Spagno can speak to if further comments are invited or accepted or not when he's kind of giving us a review of it. So, Director Spagno.
Thank you, Mayor French. The report before council is summarizing the details that arose from a public meeting that was held on May 4th, 2016 for an industrial plan of subdivision in Bertram Industrial Parkway. What was applied for was an official plan amendment, a zoning bylaw amendment, and plan of subdivision to provide for or to allow for the development of 8 industrial lots within the business park. Based on the comments received through the public process and based on the comments received from the majority of the authorities, staff are bringing forward a report tonight to recommending endorsement of the official plan amendment so that the amendment can be forwarded on to the County of Simcoe for final approval, subject to any minor modifications that may result of their review. Staff is also recommending that the bylaw be adopted tonight in order to allow for the file to move forward. The expectation of staff will be that any subdivision-related or technical matters will need to be addressed through the draft plan approval process, will be forthcoming and come before this council at a later date once the final details have been resolved with respect to the subdivision. But what this recommendation would do is actually move the official plan amendment forward, which was establish the industrial use on the property or the principal development so that the file can continue on moving forward. I'd be happy to answer any questions that council has.
And just maybe to clarify the comment I made earlier, following our public meeting, what was the time limit to add further comment on the public comments of that time?
Thank you, Mayor French. Really up to this point in time, after the public meeting, the planning department, the municipality will accept any comments related to the application up until it's a point of a decision, and so that all comments are considered prior to any final approval.
So would it be appropriate for me to use my authority and allow a question here? Would it be helpful to you, Director Spagno?
Thank you, Mayor French. I think it would be helpful if it's something that we need to consider through the modifications, maybe when it gets up to the county review, if it's new information that we need to consider. For the purposes of the recommendation, I think, depending on the information that comes forward, staff would still be recommending that the official plan amendment move to the county level for review, but we can consider those comments through that review process at the county. If there's any minor modifications that result, those can be provided within the final approval up at the county level.
I guess for clarity, is it helpful to you if the person
Yes,
asks
Mayor
the question?
French.
Okay, please come forward.
Sorry, I didn't want to waste anyone's time or anything. I just wanted to know a little more information. I didn't have any formal questions or anything. I did just want to hear that.
And all the information, I'm not sure if you had a chance to look at the agenda. There's a number of reports attached to it. Basically the proposal, the plan, and a number of letters from various agencies. So I suggest you kind of read those.
Yep.
They are on the agenda tonight, and it's on the website, of course. And the minutes from our public meeting are on there, the comments that were received, so that might be helpful to you. And if you have further comments, just send them to our planning department.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments on this one? Councillor Coghlan.
Perfect. And through you, Mayor French, I want a clarification. In the report when it states that indoor recreational use would be permitted, but then later on it says that passive outdoor recreation use, I'm just not sure what that is indicating, because I'm having a hard time picturing an industrial area with outdoor recreation use in it.
Director Spagno.
Thank you, Mayor French, through you to Councillor Coghlan. By passive outdoor recreation, we refer to any sitting areas or anything that might be just passive recreation. So you might have a picnic area or something like that in some industrial subdivisions for workers to sit outside and eat their lunch or go for a walk. That's really the extent of what passive recreational uses would cover.
Follow up?
Actually, a separate question, and thank you. And maybe to Chief Gavay, when we have designs like this moving forward, and we often talk about economic investment in spring water, when we then would require a cistern on each individual lot in an industrial area, which is an expense borne to the person trying to develop that property, why don't we just have a cistern in the area for fire suppression that would service the entire development?
I'll go to Director Gavay and possibly back to Director Spagno if he has comments, but maybe the two of them can share. Start with our Director Gavay.
Thank you, Worship, to Councillor Coghlan. It certainly wasn't something I believe that was explored by my predecessor, and you know, I'm only personally getting involved in these plans at this beginning phase, so to speak. It's not typical normally to put an industrial park, in my experience, somewhere that isn't serviced by significant water mains for fire protection. So it's kind of a unique problem that I'm facing that I'm not used to, but I don't think that it's unusual for rural communities to face that. And we could certainly, if it was council's will, with the land and the funding, look at putting a cistern in to serve these lots in the future.
Thank you. Right now, I guess maybe a follow-up question to Councillor Coghlan's. Maybe it is something that I know we've looked at it in residential areas of community kind of water systems and that. I guess this one's different in the fact that I guess at one point the industrial development was fully developed into lots, and now we're actually expanding it. And so doing a centralized one would be kind of back to trying to convince the property owners that may have cisterns and that contributing to a central one, or having the new 8 property owners or 8 lots contribute to the whole thing. It's probably, I think it's a good idea. It's something we need to look at and come up with policy. And maybe it falls under our policy. New industrial parks do have to have a centralized system or water supply, but I think it's a very good question. So I guess just take it under consideration. Thank you. Any other questions? All those in favor? Carried. Okay, action reports, and obviously we have a number of on the wastewater and clean water, and I need a mover and a seconder to get it on the table for discussion. Coghlan, Hannah. The report from the Acting Chief Administrative Officer and Director of Finance regarding Clean Water and Wastewater Fund Transfer Payment Agreement dated August 2nd, 2017 be received. The mayor and clerk be authorized to execute the necessary agreements. Director Schmidt, do you want to give us a quick, brief 30-second overview, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Simply, the report tonight is seeking council's authorization to have the mayor and clerk authorize the transfer payment. Council may recall that back in October of last year, the staff brought a staff report forward requesting that a number of projects be submitted under this program. We have just recently received notification from the province that we have been successful in this grant application. However, in order to secure the funds, and transfer payment agreement is required. So that's simply what we're requesting.
Thank you. Any questions on this? All those in favor? Carried. Moving on to information reports. If I could have a mover and a second to get these on the table. Alan Ritchie. that the report items 10.2 through to 10.13 be received as information. Would you like to pull any of these? Councillor Austin?
10.3?
Any others? Is it more of a question or a comment?
Two very simple questions.
Okay, well, let's see if we can kind of get them answered. Please go ahead.
Through you, Mayor French, to Chief Gavet. In the annual Fire Department, Fire and Emergency Services annual report, when and where have been the presentations on safe cooking for older adults?
Chief Gavet?
Thank you, Your Worship. I can certainly get that information, but when I requested the information for the annual report, I was given the summary, so I don't have the exact specifics to hand, and I wouldn't like to make an ill-informed statement to the councillor, only to regret it later.
Like if I knew when they were happening, I would maybe pass that on to there's a seniors group in Elmvale that meets on Monday afternoons. I'd appreciate that. And the second question I have, the second of two, was what are vulnerable occupancies? Would that be nursing homes?
Through Your Worship, to the councillor. Yes, certainly special care homes, places for youth that require supervision, basically your non-ambulatory or people that may have physical or mental challenges who would be more vulnerable than citizens without those impairments.
And how many places within the township would that be?
Again, thank you, Your Worship. Through to the councillor, I could have told you that when I wrote the report about 6 months ago, but it's taken a while to get it to you. I believe it's 11, but I will find out for sure and let you know.
Okay, other reports? Okay, Deputy Mayor Allen?
10, 13.
Okay, Councillor Coghlan, 10.3.
No, sorry, I said 10.1.3, it's the same. Thank you.
Councillor Hanna?
I just want to make a comment on 10.11, excuse me, and 10.12.
Carry on.
It's just that both of these water systems were tested and found to be 100% safe, and I just think that's a good news report that we might want to consider putting in our link to let the residents know that they are drinking good water and spring water.
Thank you. So let's go back to, maybe I'll just do them in order, 10.1.
Sorry, 10.13, 1.3. Apologies.
Okay, 10.13.
Councillor Coghlan may go first.
And Councillor Coghlan.
I was just requesting more of a verbal update on it. I'm reading through it. I'm not sure how the work's going to continue if there's that many people that need to be involved, and we're hoping to have it finished at the end of the month. Is that correct?
Mayor French, through you to Councillor Coghlan. These numbers that I gave you were dated at the end of June. As of the end of July, the extras were about 78,000 in addition to the 35,000. They have about 1 week left with the hydrovac work. The vibration monitoring has been removed. Enbridge gave us the clearance to remove that. So they're probably about 70% complete of the entire project. So the end of August does seem attainable, yes.
Deputy Mayor Allen?
Thank you, Mayor French. I was just wondering, it surprised me that Enbridge came forward with this significant information so late in the game. Why didn't they get to us earlier about a significant factor like this? And can we approach them to pay some or all of the $35,000?
Director Schmidt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Deputy Mayor Allen. Essentially, staff's currently in the process of drafting correspondence to Enbridge and requesting a meeting with them to discuss this particular item, and with the intent of seeking compensation.
So is that all the reports?
No, I
Councillor
remember,
Coghlan?
sorry, I'm just trying to go back through it, but I remember something about parking for the park, and it said that it changed, so is there still gonna be enough parking for, or is that having to move? Just clarification on that.
Director Coleman?
Thank you, Mayor French, through you to Councillor Coghlan. Instead of actually paving that parking area, it will be a granular material instead. So that will still allow parking between the road and the rink.
Yeah.
So that there'll still be access there, but it just won't be an asphalt
Okay.
base with paved or painted lines.
Okay, thank you.
And just for clarity, was there any other reports that we wanted to discuss? Councillor Austin?
10.8, please.
Is it a question or?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Pose the question, please.
And it would be to, through you, Mayor French, to Director Spagnol. Just curious as to why this report is dated August 23rd in the future. It's the report to the Committee of Adjustment from Planner Russell, and it's dated August 23rd. It has to do with the severance application on One Bridle Trail. Did I get the date wrong?
Director Spagnol?
Thank you, Mayor French. Through you to Councillor Austin. The reason why the report is dated for August 23rd is because that's when the Committee of Adjustment meets. So the report is intended for the Committee of Adjustment.
Councillor Ritchie?
Mayor French, I had a question for the planner refer, I think it's 10-9, the IZ severance is there. I think it's 10-9. To the Director of Planning. They're applying there for 3 lots at Apto Glen Estates, and my question is, what do they plan on doing with the rest of that property that fronts from the back of the subject property over to the Highway 27? What's the plans for it?
Director Spagnol?
Thank you, Mayor French. Through you to Councillor Ritchie. As of now, we don't know what the plans are for that property because the property is under separate ownership, so it is not subject to the application. It's a very good question that I think would need to be addressed when the applications move forward through the process.
So, Mayor French, if I can just follow up. So you're saying that IZs don't own that property?
Director Spagnol?
Thank you, Mayor French. Through you to Councillor Ritchie. My understanding is that it's not under the ownership of the applicant.
Any other questions on any of these reports? Okay, all those in favor? Carried. Verbal updates, official plan.
Thank you, Mayor French. Starting to sound like a broken record here. The staff is still looking through the growth plan, and much like many of the municipalities across the county, is trying to determine what the extent of the changes of the growth plan and what the impact is going to be on processes that have started to date. Future meetings are also going to require involvement with the County of Simcoe as well, because the county will be having to, based on the direction provided within the new growth plan, will be required to also start a new growth management strategy that takes a look at growth management across the county. So this will be a collaborative effort in that there needs to be some input from the county as to what the county feels the impact of the growth plan will have on the township's initiatives. We're still trying to dig into this and trying to get an idea as to where we can make changes, where we can't, and how that's going to affect our process.
Just kind of a follow-up question on that, because we know the provincial policies and that are in transition, let's put it that way, and it's going to affect the county and the township of Springwater. And of course, now they have some guiding documents of agricultural properties and that. As part of our process, I know we've talked about using possibly our agricultural liaison committee to provide comments on what we're doing. Should we be considering having some discussion based on that discussion document that came out from the province on agriculture, maybe to get ahead of the game? Because I know it's It's moving slower because of the changing policies at the provincial level. But I just throw that out there. Would it be worthwhile, because we have so much agricultural land in Springwater, of maybe at least having our own discussion on that document rather than just the provincial discussions? So maybe you could provide some comment on that.
Thank you, Mayor French. Yes, that's a fair comment. The commenting period, I believe, for the agricultural portion of the designation of the identification of agricultural areas is in October of this year. So we do have some runway to try to organize and try to get some feedback from the agricultural community as to what their thoughts are on the proposed delineation of the areas and the guidance that's provided in the documents. So it's something, I think it's a good suggestion to feed into our process and to supplement any comments that we bring forward to the ministry and the province.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on that? Because we'll move on to economic development update. Again, back to Director Spagnol.
Thank you, Mayor French. So the through economic development, as indicated in a previous meeting, there's been a number of initiatives that have been ongoing over 2017 as a result of funding provided by council through the regular budget process, also through funding initiatives and grant programs. Staff is working on a report to actually summarize the initiatives and summarize some of the achievements and the projects that have been completed over the past year, and it's something that council can expect to see in upcoming council meetings. We're aiming to have something forward hopefully in September.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on that? Councillor Austin?
Thank you, Mayor French, through you to Director Spagnol. I'm just wondering if you might want to comment for the sake of the public viewing here and on the net about the initiative of our summer student and the business directory.
Director Spagnol?
Thank you, Mayor French. Through you to Councillor Austin. One of those initiatives was to update the township's business directory to make it more user-friendly and to provide more accurate information to people who are looking to visit the municipality, potentially use some of the business or try to access the services of some of the businesses. One of the biggest improvements to the business directory is it actually allows for businesses to go on our website and update their own business information so that it's the most accurate and up-to-date information so that people know exactly what businesses are in the municipality. It's more user-friendly. The other aspect of the township's website that has been cleaned up relates to some of the pages that weren't necessarily up to date and provide, again, they're more user-friendly and more up to date. One of the key pages that, from an economic development standpoint, that has seen significant upgrades is related to profiles on employment lands within the municipalities, particularly industrial areas and such. So I definitely recommend and encourage people to go on the website and take a look at some of the changes that have resulted from the summer student working on those initiatives. It's quite exciting.
Councillor McConkey?
Just in comment to that, if we're updating and allowing the businesses to update themselves, I don't know if we have a mayor's breakfast with the businesses, but I think that would be something that we should showcase and show how to do it and communicate very well. Because it's one thing doing the work, but communicating it, making sure everybody uses it, knows how, would be something that I think we have to produce.
As a matter of fact, we had a discussion. I think the idea is to have possibly another fall business and with the CIP and a number of other initiatives, bring them up to speed, really promote our directory. And I think the other important point of our directory is now up to date and businesses that don't exist are not there anymore. So if someone goes and looks for a particular business, there's a 99% chance that that business is actually in operation. And so, you know, it was a very good effort and done a great job. So thank you. Any other questions on that? Okay. Let's go on to municipal updates, and I'll go to the individual councillors for comments. Councillor Ritchie.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor French. This Sunday in Phelpston, it's our annual Winger Dinger Horseshoe event. So anybody like to play horseshoes, registration starts at 12. They start throwing horseshoes at 1. It's a fundraising event, so we're looking forward to, we're hopefully having nice weather. So if you like to play horseshoes and you like a hamburger and there's raffles and that, please come up. We'd love to see you. That's this Sunday, starting at 12. I think it's over with by 5. And there's other refreshments as well. Just want to mention that.
It is a licensed event. Councillor McConkey.
August 27th from 2 to 6, Grenfell is having a gathering for Canada 150, and hopefully we've sort of be a reunion of all the different families, or if people have, you know, come down there and played hockey and had some fun there and have some stories to share and want to share out with the families, come on down. And all the councillors are invited. And there's going to be musicians, and our mayor will be playing the drums. And I think that this is what I've heard. And then I've also heard that MP Alex Nuttall might be there too as a guest, and he will also do a solo song. So hope everybody can come out. And one major thing is that we're going to have a photo booth. And so we're going to try and capture all of the families that are there, and then keep that digital copy and put it into the library, into the artifacts that we'll have for in the future, and we'll probably have a reunion in the future where we'll look at things.
Councillor Austin?
July 22nd, there was a very successful sci-fi fantasy party in Elmville. Mayor French brought greetings, but he did not dress up as Darth Vader or anything like that. But other people did, and from all accounts, it was a successful day.
Deputy Mayor Allen.
Thank you. In Hillsdale, the end of summer extravaganza on the 26th of August from 4 until 7. There'll be lots of entertainment and things for kids and adults, and that's part of the 150 celebration there. So that promises to be a great time, so come out and enjoy the fun there.
Anything else? Councillor Coghlan?
And finally, Minising Slow Pitch Tournament is Labor Day long weekend, so that runs Friday right through the weekend, and there's lots for everybody to do. And I believe we have the 24 teams again this year, so hopefully it'll be another great fundraiser for Minising. So if you have an opportunity to come cheer on, particularly the Spartans is our team name, so come cheer for us.
And I guess my comment is, you know, our golf tournament, the Springwater Swing, was very successful. We had a great day, great weather. Of course, a little sloppy because of heavy rains before, but anybody had a good time. And I think we made a little more money than we did last year, and I'm waiting for a final report to come on that. But again, the proceeds go to local initiatives, our CAP program, and of course our physician recruitment program. So again, thank all of our sponsors and all the attendees that participated in that. Okay, now I'll go back to the one I missed, county updates. We haven't had a county council meeting since our last meeting because we don't meet in July. Deputy Mayor Allen, do you have any updates?
We have a meeting next Tuesday at which they will be voting on, I'll be presenting again in council, the reduction of the 2% levy proposed for 2018 to 1%, and hope to have enough support of the county councillors for that to carry.
Councillor McConkey?
Could we have an update from the county on any further their next year's budget, on what roads they plan to update and any projects before they go to the budget? As I'm looking forward, and like there's been a lot of work done on Wilson, but I don't see the bike lane, and I don't know if that's happening. So I think I need to understand, because they have such an impact in my ward, and it's those roads that I'm getting a lot of complaints on. And so when we're building communities like in Centre Vesper and that, you know, they're wanting sidewalks, they're wanting a walkable community. So I think that as a ward councillor or our staff in roads and that need to have input on their roads, and we have to be able to drive it from what our communities are doing. So I don't know if a lot of other councillors are feeling the same thing that I am, but I know it's going to be more to come as they take over other roads and that. And I just like to know what's in the future and how we're going to pull our communities together with the county roads.
Okay. Deputy Mayor Allen?
Possibly a way of approaching that, instead of asking county what their plans are with respect to roads. I know you'd sent an email around, but if you sent to Mayor French and myself, sort of an order of roads. It'd be good to see, having what work done and mention the sidewalks, then we could take that to county at this point in time and have them consider it for the upcoming budget.
It may be worthwhile to maybe work with the clerk and put some thought into it so we have an official resolution from council that for county roads that are constructed in the township of Springwater, that we kind of put something out there that's on paper all the time rather than just commenting as they develop, because that's what they're officially doing. They've changed their policy now when they are building new roads. They are putting the extra kind of bike lane on it. So, but I think it would be appropriate, so maybe you want to work with the clerk and actually do a notice of motion, make sure we have it there officially, that we need that in any roads that they're considering. And I think I would be specific, especially Center Vespra. It's definitely not a walkable community on Sunnydale Road, and so I'd probably put some detail into it that we could pass a resolution showing what we'd like to see as a policy. And it should complement, I guess, whatever our roads policy is going to be as we develop too with bike lanes. But I think it may be better to do it that way. Councillor Coghlan?
Thank you, Mayor French, and through you to Director Coleman. The roads need study that we're about to take it on assesses our roads, but do they, if they notice anything, like is there anything in there where that same study might identify roads owned by the county within our municipality that we should address, or an opportunity for our patrolmen to maybe do something like that, and that way as a council we can provide their opinion or our roads or our patrolmen's opinion to the county?
Director Coleman?
Thank you, Mayor French. Through you to Councillor Coghlan. We actually we give them a list of roads and road sections, so we wouldn't include county roads on that for them to the review.
And the reason that I'm asking that is, it's one thing for like residents, we travel the roads every day and we know which roads we think are needing assessed, but is there an opportunity for our patrolmen to take a look at the county roads so that we can have, because we're gonna have a compiled list of, you know, we do have residents that notify us and say, hey, this road and this road, but there may be roads out there that do need work, but residents haven't contacted their counselor about it. So it would be great to be able to give something to the county that is accurate and provided by someone with, I mean, I'm not a professional in that capacity, but I don't know if that's an opportunity for us to do.
I guess a comment, I know the county public works, they have a similar process as we have, where there's regular consistently monitoring, and in some ways they monitor them at a higher level because they have a higher expectation, I guess, of some of their roads because they're more arterial. But maybe a discussion with the county public works. Is there information we could provide that would assist them in development of new roads, or do we just leave it the way it is? Maybe I'll take your comment, Director Coleman.
Thank you, Mayor French. We certainly can pass along our concerns, and I have in the past if I receive them from residents. Our patrolman does review their signs on our roads, so that say the stop ahead and the stop signs that are actually county road control, he will review those when he's out, and he will bring those to my attention, which I will forward to the county. I would expect that the county would also have a similar road needs assessment, similar to what we're doing, and that they should be doing the same sort of things in order to classify their roads appropriately and to determine what needs to be done first in terms of traffic and the structural integrity of the road.
Councillor McConkey?
Yeah, and I guess where I see the disconnect is more that the residents really feel they're in a community, and mine is more like the concerns I'm hearing is the speed, which I don't have much control over. They do their traffic needs study. You know, a stoplight over at Center Vespra. So it's a lot of safety things that I don't know if the patrol would have, but it's building a safer community and building a you know, a walkable or and ones that you can use bikes in, and that the community can commute. And I'm getting that with the new turnoff in Grenfell and stuff off to Highway 90, and you know, they're probably thinking long-term, but I don't know when the plans are, and I can't keep following up all the time. So I think we also have to nail a process of how we work with them on that in building better communities. I want to say the county has done a great job whenever, I do phone them and they do work with me and that, but I'm still getting more. It doesn't stop, so.
Okay. Any other kind of comments on the county or, yes? Councillor Austin first.
Mayor French, I was wondering if you might want to make a statement about the recent county councillor who passed away suddenly?
Yes, for those that do follow county council, the deputy mayor of New Tecumseh, Jamie Smith, passed away suddenly this week. He's had some health issues in the last year, and he passed away. And he was an interesting character, very humorous fellow, very pragmatic when it came to county business. And so we send all of our thoughts and prayers to the Smith family at this time. So thank you for mentioning that, Councillor Austin. Councillor Ritchie, did you have a question?
Actually, I did. I'm wanting to know, Mayor French, can we go back to 10-9? Like, I know we've passed it, but or we're not allowed. I don't know what the procedure is here.
Sure, we're not going to be here all night, so why don't we?
My question, Mayor French, was to the Director of Planning. These lots that are being allowed, are they now liable to this fire suppression system that we were doing prior? And why?
No, I think the simple system is, the simple answer, and Dr. Spang will answer it. I think through all those discussions, and it may have to go into closed session, but it was basically to the catchment area of some 80-some homes, and the Apto Glen, we agreed as a council, was not part of that catchment area. Director Spagno?
Thank you, Mayor French. You are correct that as far as the Maple Ridge applications were concerned, the consideration of the potentially benefiting properties did not pick up Apto Glen. As it relates to this application before council, this is an information report that provides an outline of the application details. There has not been any approvals of the subdivision. Considerations related to the ability of the application to meet provincial policy, to meet township policies and whatnot will have to happen through the process. So I think the key message here is that there hasn't been any approvals allotted for the subdivision, and such considerations as a fire cistern in this instance is something that could potentially be discussed through the process, but there hasn't been any discussions in that respect because we're early on as part of the application, as far as the applications go.
Councillor Ritchie?
I just want to, is there provincial legislation stating that we have to do this, or is this something we're bringing in there? I'd like some clarity there, please.
Director Spagno?
Thank you, Mayor French, through to Councillor Ritchie. I will let the fire chief correct me if I'm wrong, but I understand that there are some standards that are provided by the province for rural subdivisions and rural development as it relates to emergency services. The municipality has a policy in place which actually allows for the request for cisterns for development out in rural areas. As far as a provincial requirement for these cisterns, I don't think that there is anything out there as far as a requirement goes, but it is policy of this municipality to require systems where appropriate for rural development, residential development, and industrial development.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. Items for future, notices of motion. Any notices of motion? Okay, seeing none. Items for future consideration. Councillor Coghlan.
Thank you, Mayor French. Just to follow up on the two items in the items for future consideration, one brought up in July of 2016, and the action item indicates that it would be brought forward in the summer meetings, summer of 2018, and this is the last meeting, so I just wasn't sure when that will be coming forward, if it's just going to be changed to fall, or if there's an actual date where those reports or that information will be coming forward.
I'll go to Madam Clerk.
Sorry, so yes, in regards to election sign policies or anything election related, the plan is still for drafts to be ready for summer of 2017. So that plan is September for end of summer. I just want to provide clarification that any elections policies or any election decisions from now on are outside of the control of council. I will be providing it as information, but as far as approvals or any details on any policies or whatnot, from now on are out of the control of council.
And follow up to that, so when we asked, or when I asked a year ago to bring that to this council table, to have it up for debate and discussion prior to the next elections, that this council did have an opportunity to have input into elections in Springwater, that was why. So I'm actually disappointed that we're not going to have an opportunity at this council table to discuss election signs, how that might come into play in Springwater.
Madam Clerk?
As mentioned, it will be brought as a draft. It's just that council will not be approving any of the policies. So if there's comments when it's brought as a draft, then yes, that it will be taken into consideration, but council will not be approving the policies. So the end result will be, it's for staff to be approving the policies for when it comes to election purposes.
Councillor Conkey?
I think I disagree with that. If I understand what Councillor Coghlan was looking for, was a report on signs and where you can place them within Springwater. So if I'm out, do we want a clutter of signs going forward in election? And I believe the Barrie Council made a vote on that. It wasn't the elections quote, who's ever assigned to that committee, to make that policy as to where signs can be placed. So I do agree it would be a council decision, and I'd like an investigation into that, because I believe it's a council decision whether we want clutter amongst our community, not the elections group.
Madam Clerk?
If council would like to make that decision for the election sign, then we can go ahead with that. It's just generally anything to do with elections besides what's legislatively required for council to adopt by bylaw is done through staff. But if council would like to make that decision and have the election sign bylaw come for approval, I would just caution that councillors cannot, you just have to be careful when it comes to candidacy. That's why most policies or anything like that is dealt with through staff to ensure that there's no no issues on that side of it.
And I hear what our councillors are saying, and I hear what the clerk is saying. I know there's one municipality that I find very interesting. The existing council has made a decision there'd be no election signs in their municipality. Now, that's where I would say that maybe it is a better idea that once removed would establish the policies. So I just think that's the danger of it. That's all I can say on that. I was kind of shocked that a council passed a policy. Okay, next election, no. Well, obviously, any newcomer is going to have a bit of an uphill battle, just doing some mailings and that. So that's why I think it has to be a balance. So, but I think we can have some discussion. Councillor Coghlan?
And thank you. And I think that was just my point, that I understand the sensitivity and the optics of a council making a decision on an election. That's why it was brought up, and that's why we said we wanted to deal with it a year ago, so that, I mean, councils do have to make decisions on elections. You do have to make decisions on how things are run, regardless of whether you're choosing to run for re-election or not. You still have to make decisions on what's best for the municipality today. So I think that was my point, that I would follow up on that one issue perpetually, and it's getting to the point now where we are getting closer to an election, and anything that this council may decide, like you said, will now have an optics attached to it. And the other one was the code of conduct for council. So if we can have a report on that, so that this council can decide whether we want to wait for the province to come or whatever it is, just have the report come forward so we can choose what we'd like to do with it.
Madam Clerk?
Yes, they are stating that the regulation should be released by the time the AMO conference happens in a couple of weeks. So we should be knowing at least what the regulations are or what date they will be released within the next couple of weeks.
Okay. Any other? Councillor McConkey.
I had brought up previously in future considerations, but I was advised that it would be coming as a staff report, and it was to have an update on all the capital projects, looking at recreation and looking at our public works, and that to understand the status of where we are on each project. And I was asked to sort of pull that. I was actually doing a motion, but I was asked to pull that motion because it was work in progress. So I guess I just need to know. It's almost, September. We really need to know we're at the halfway point. I'm hoping that for recreation, that my Berry Hill Farm, Seaton Road Park, the basketball court will be in. And it's a target date in August, and I have no idea. So I don't feel these projects need to understand, and like Parr Boulevard, I've been on council for 8 years. That's on the capital plan every year. I really need to know. I get asked it all the time. I'm getting embarrassed. So I need some dates on this.
Director Smith, I know we had some discussion, but maybe you'd like to update us.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Councillor McConkey. Typically, the process has been that staff report would go to the Finance and Audit Committee on budget status updates, if you will, which would provide capital project updates as well. And so having been away for 2 weeks, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, is that I will be looking to schedule an F&A meeting hopefully in the next couple weeks, early September, with the intent of having a staff report come to council shortly thereafter. So yes, timing maybe not the greatest. With all due respect, most times we are reporting mid-year by September, but that is the game plan, is to have something in front of council probably at the second meeting in September.
Any other questions or future consideration comments? Okay, so I have the bylaws. Can I have a mover and a seconder for the bylaws? Coghlan, Hannah. That the bylaws listed herein be signed and sealed by the mayor and clerk. All those in favor? Carried. And confirmatory bylaw, a mover and a seconder. Austin and Ritchie. The bylaw 2017-063 to confirm and adopt the proceedings of council at the regular meeting held on August 2nd, 2017, listed here and be signed and sealed by the mayor and clerk. All those in favor? Carried. And an adjournment bylaw, a mover and a seconder. Ritchie and Allen. That the regular meeting of the Township of Spring Road is now adjourned at 7:29 p.m. to meet again in a regular meeting on September 6, 2017 at 6:30 p.m. in the Council Chambers Administrative Center, Minising. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you, and meeting adjourned. And thank you for those at home that joined us, and thank you for the audience that joined us.